Welcome to Divine Downloads. I'm your host, Cassandra Bodzak, and this is the show where we give you the tools to help you bring the vision you have for your life into reality. Today's episode is all about this new moon and Leo, and even beyond that, really courageously following our creative inspiration and the happiness and the heart fulfillment that really comes from that as a part of our soul's mission. So, whether you're listening to this in preparation for that new moon in Leo in August 2023, or you just found this and the title of Courageously Following Your Creative Inspiration is calling you, this message is for you. And I think it is a timeless message for all of us because our soul came here. And I really believe that part of why we incarnated during this lifetime and to experience being human was to have self-expression and was to allow our souls to express in all the unique ways they came here to express, and our these astrological events that happen in our lifetimes, whether it's a new moon, whether it's the Venus retrograde, whether it's the node switching, all these different astrological events that happen, I believe, are really helping our soul get on the path. They're assisting us. They're energies that are supporting us as we go through our own evolutionary journey. And so this new moon in Leo, I think, is really coming at a time. It's coming at a time where we've been in Venus retrograde, the nodes have shifted, and now we're really ready for the Renaissance. We're ready for the creative rebirth. We're ready to really follow what's been on our heart and creatively express ourselves in that way. And Leo is all about heart-centered courage, right? It's the lion, like roaring, but it's roaring to protect that which is, close to its heart, right? When we see like a lion roaring to protect its cub, when we imagine that power and that majesty of the lion moving forward, right? Courageously moving forward, the grace and the ease that is in a lion's body as it is, moving towards prey or protecting its family. It resonates with the part of us that also feels like it has that powerful hunger, that powerful heart-centered drive, right, about what really matters. And so this Venus retrograde has really kind of put in perspective or given us some reflection on what really matters in our life. And Venus is what we value, what we find worthy in ourselves, in the world, and others. It's not only what we find beautiful, but also, it can be about money too. It's really about what we value when we think about Venus, and exploring like what is beautiful to us, what is valuable to us, how do we want to experience that Venus energy in our life. And then we have this new moon in Leo, which is, all new moons are fresh starts, new beginnings, times for us to really like plant a seed, to start that momentum on a project, right? And Leo, again, like, is this sign of just like heart-centered courage, of creativity. I think of with Leo. And when we think about courage, it's moving forward even though we're fearful, right? Even though we're scared. That is what makes us courageous. It's not that we're fearless, right? Courage is also about having the fear and doing it anyway. And I think when we think about our creative and artistic pursuits, that's something that we're always going to dance with. We're always going to dance with the resistance. We're always going to dance with imposter syndrome. We're always going to dance with, is this, are other people going to find this worthy? Are other people going to find this valuable? Is this, important to other people? And I think this new moon comes at a time to really give us that message of it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if anyone else thinks it's important. It doesn't matter if anyone else sees it as beautiful or valuable. What is important to your heart, what's important to your soul's journey is this need to express, to allow that which is within you to come forth, right? There's that quote, I don't know what it's from, but it's coming through right now. If we don't allow what's within us to come forth, often it is exactly the same thing that makes us sick, right? Or makes us sad, or, leads us into depression and anxiety. And so, in a time when so much of us, I think, coming out the past few years, are more connected to our mental health, more connected to what makes us happy, not just about like the big manifestations we want to come into our life, but what makes us happy every single day. I think this Leo new moon, with the Venus retrograde and everything that's been going on, and we also just had the node switch. So we have, Aries and Libra kind of coming into place in this dynamic of the self versus the partnership, or the self versus others, right? And really honoring that to take care of others, we must first take care of ourselves. It's that, like, put your own oxygen mask on energy. And now we can think about this Leo new moon energy as romance and passion and love. And if that's something that resonates with you right now, then definitely this is, like, I think, a great time, especially with the Venus retrograde too, to create those rituals in your life that connect you with that romance and that passion and love. If you're single, this is definitely a time to, I would say, do a ritual, get really clear on what you want to call in, and as like how you want to feel that love and that passion and that partnership. And Leo is like king energy, I would say, or queen energy. It's royal energy. So really feeling that, you hear that when you're calling in a partner, like call in a king, call in a queen, call in someone that is sovereign, someone that is in their power, someone that is connected to their heart, and moving forward despite having whatever fears they might have. So it's a beautiful new moon also for those romantic intentions. For me, and maybe that's just because I'm already partnered up and married, or where I'm at in my evolution, but I'm really feeling this new moon as a creative rebirth, as a time for us to really start taking that first step on creative projects that we've been waiting on, that we've been kind of like been circling in our minds and in our hearts, and are just, maybe we're experiencing resistance, maybe we're experiencing fear, maybe we've got excuses going on. But this Leo new moon is here to remind us, like, just start. And I think one of the things that has been coming through for me, that I think a lot of us as a collective are moving through, especially since, the past few years, everything we've all been through, as a collective, is the importance of that rebirth of creativity, is that importance of, and also reclaiming creativity as heart nourishment. I think there has been a epidemic of creation for the sake of financial gain. And there is a different energy, a different vibration when it is creation for the sake of self-expression. And I would venture to say, in my own experience, in my experience with working with clients, when creativity is in the sake of soul expression, the financial abundance flows organically from it. When creativity is in the sake of financial gain, I find there's a lot more resistance to it, because it's not authentic creativity a lot of the times. When we are putting pressure on our creative juices, like, you imagine, like, if, when Picasso was painting or Van Gogh was painting, they said, can you paint something that's going to be worth $20 million one day? Like, how does that not stifle your creative juices? And oftentimes, I think the best creators, the best artists, whether they're writers or artists or poets or, ceramic makers or recipe makers, cooks, whatever, right? All these different ways we can express our creativity. I think the best ones just create what they feel called to, and they don't worry about what do been given this kind of backwards programming, I think, in the marketing world, right? That works in certain spheres, but is not, it's not pure and honoring to our creative flow when we're starting to think like, what does everybody want from me? What do they want from me? Oh, well, maybe everybody wants from you avocado toast recipes, or everybody wants from you love poems, right? But what's burning in your heart and your soul is a desire to write poems about grief, or what's burning in your soul to make food wise is different tarts. I don't know. You get the idea, right? And I believe that it's like a reclamation of the truth of our heart, of our authentic truth of what does our soul feel like it wants to bring forth. I work with a lot of women to write their own books and write their proposals and go through that process. And one of the things I always say is that, a book is like your master's degree with the divine, right? It's like, what does your soul at this point in your evolutionary juncture feel called to bring forth and share with the world? And then, yes, you can meet that. You can meet what is my soul called to feel forth within what is the container, what is the energy of the collective that's meeting that, right? So it's like, oh yeah, I feel called to create tarts, and right now we're in the summer season, so I'm going to use fruits and berries from the summer season, right? Or I feel called to create these meditations, and right now people are really stressed about X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to merge that, right, with the collective. But it's starting from that really authentic, heart-centered place. What do I feel called to bring forth? Of And I really believe it's our creativity and our creative expression that will ultimately save us, will ultimately allow us to keep evolving and growing as a soul, will ultimately lead us to fulfillment and joy and happiness, will ultimately lead us to finding our tribe, because we're putting it out there in a way of how we are. And I say that, and it comes in so many different levels. If your creative expression is gardening, then maybe you join a community garden club, right? Or maybe you just get on online forums of different plants in California or wherever you're located, right? But when we're following that natural creative urge, we also find our people. We find our tribe, because we're finding the people, the souls that also incarnated, that are lit up by similar things than we are. And it feels really organic and it effortlessly flows. And I think what happens for so many of us right now is we've stifled it, we've blocked it off, we've put ourselves in these boxes of, this is the thing that I need to do to make money, or this is the thing that society is telling me they want from me, or my friend group or my family group is saying what they want from me. And can we break out of that? Can we allow ourselves to, yeah, you can still have your 9 to 5 job and garden on the side. You can be a coach like me and do pottery because it's part of your creative expression. We are so multifaceted. And that's just a whole other thing I think is part of honoring our creative truth, is honoring the how natural it is for us to be so multifaceted. And this is something when I work with people that are starting their own businesses, and something that I'm thinking of doing a kind of VIP mastermind kind of session on, around like multifaceted branding, right? And owning your personal brand in that multifaceted way, because we've again been sold this prescription that says you have to do one thing, right? You have to just know your lane. And that works for some people, right? For some people their creativity thrives on that. If you give them a lane in a direction where they're like, okay, you're the pottery person, right? and all they want to talk about is pottery and maybe a specific kind of pottery or whatnot. They really thrive from just going deep on that one angle. But I think more of us, and probably a lot of you that are listening to this, resonate with my energy for sure. We're more multifaceted than that. I mean, I paint randomly. I'm not a good painter. I have no interest in selling my paintings. I don't even display half my paintings. My paintings are just for fun. I also write poetry. I find it very soothing, right? I also don't need to share that poetry, and if the day comes, maybe I will. Whereas I have other creative art forms, right? Like this podcast, like the books that I write, or the meditations, or different, that my acting, being on camera, there are a bunch of different creative forms that I do feel called to share that feels more outwardly pressing, but we are also multifaceted. And I think the more that we can just allow that the creativity is the divine moving through us, right? When you hear like artists talk about their muse, um, it is, it is the way of the divine. I think, here we are on divine downloads. I think it is the ultimate divine download, is our creative urges, is our creative ideas. And the more we can authentically express those in all of the ways that they want to come through. And like I said, sometimes it'll come through and you'll feel called to sell your artwork. You'll feel called to create an offering, and that's beautiful too. And sometimes it'll be just for you. And sometimes when I create the most magnificent dinners and they're just for me and my husband, they're the most like soul healing and nourishing, right? And sometimes when I create things and hundreds of thousands of people get to see them and enjoy them and benefit from them, that also is incredibly soul nourishing, right? But there's no like either or, black or white. I think that's the message I want to get through with this new moon in Leo and the Venus retrograde, is just, what is that thing? I firmly believe if you're listening to this, you've had that creative urge kind of piping in probably for a while now. You probably know exactly the creative project that's coming up for you. And can you, with this new moon in Leo, courageously take a step forward with that? Can you start writing the book? Can you, start painting stuff? Can you open up the Etsy shop if that's, what you feel called to do? Can you start, can you buy a journal just for your poetry? What is whatever the creative thing that wants to come forth, and can you do actually take some grounded action that's going to start opening up that momentum? Because I really believe creativity is taught to us as this kind of like extracurricular, like add-on bonus thing, like but it's not. It is fundamental to our mental health, to our soul satisfaction, to our happiness. And I firmly believe it links directly, the way that the divine moves through us in creative flow links directly to our soul's purpose here, and what we're here to express, and the energy that we're here to bring, and the message that we're here to bring at this time on earth. So I really, really, really want to get that across. And you're going to see that, spoiler alert, I think you're going to see that as a theme in a lot more of my work, because I really believe we're going through a creative renaissance. I think we're going through a time right now where our souls are awakening more and more, and wanting to put us on that path, and using our creative inspiration and our creative endeavors to do that. So I am doing a few things to honor this Leo new moon. The first of which I'll put a link in my bio too. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm like, no, it's the time. We're doing it on this new moon. I'm going to launch Cassandra's Creative Hours. It's going to be a virtual Zoom date where you'll get the opportunity to actually put your creative time on the calendar. We'll be live on Zoom. It'll be a group of us. It's going to go for 90 minutes, so you can make sure you get at least an hour of creative time, or an hour and a half, we'll kick off and we'll all kind of, if you want to, you can introduce yourself and share what you're working on for that added accountability. And then we'll do a 30-minute creative stride. And after that 30 minutes, there'll be the option if you want to keep going. If you're in flow, then you could, mute, keep your camera off, keep going. If you want to take a little break or you feel like you have a block or something you want to share, I'll be there, do some live spot coaching to help us move through any creative blocks. And then we'll pop back on for another half an hour creative stride. And then at the end, you'll have the option to just, keep running with it if you're in good flow, or you can walk away knowing that like you showed up, that at least for this hour and a half, once a week, you show up for your creative project, you show up for writing your book proposal, you show up for creating content, and you show up for, even if you put us on and you're painting or writing poetry or redesigning something in your house, right? It's really, I think what happens for us is we don't value creativity enough in our culture. We don't value the fruits of that labor. So we don't put it on the calendar the same way we put on like a dentist appointment, or the same way we put on a Zoom call with someone from work or whatnot. And so if you're interested in signing up for Cassandra's Creative Hours, I'm going to put the form below. The form is not a commitment. It's just an interest statement to share a little bit about what you'd be working on, what your availability is time-wise, and then I will reach out to everyone directly and we'll find a time that works for all of us to get going and to really create that space where we can show up for creative work together every week, and you can have that accountability on the things that matter to your heart, which I think is so deeply lacking for so many of us, and so easy to just keep pushing it aside. And sometimes we need that. I know when part of how I was inspired to do this was when I was writing one of my books, I found another like authors group that I joined, and we did a similar kind of thing. And I want to open it up to any creative, not just authors, but it was helpful because I know if I did nothing else, I showed up for that and I got that done. And I met other friends through that group, and then we would do our own pop-up hour, and it was just great. You had that like accountability that someone cared that you showed up for your creative endeavors. And so I really want to pass that on as well. So check that out below. The other thing that I'm just putting out there, and also to give you guys some ideas, something I've been really called to create for a while that I'm finally going to start doing, is Substack. I know some of you guys probably already heard of Substack. Substack is it's kind of like a writer's newsletter where you get these I would say mini chapters or mini articles of different things depending on what Substack, what subscription it is. And there is a free option and a subscriber option. And the thing I really love about this, and I want to encourage you guys that are writers, I'll put a link to not only my Substack, but you can also to join Substack if you want to do this for yourself, because the fact that they offer this paid subscription thing, so you could charge people like $11 a month or $5 a month or $2 a month or whatever it is, $25 a month, it doesn't matter, is it helps you create this community of people that really care what you're talking about. And when I was really thinking about, as someone that has grown, such a big audience over the years, one of the things that as it's gone bigger has made me want to keep certain things more private is that I'm sure that there are a lot of people that listen and read and find my work that may not have my highest good at heart, right? And so having just that small subscription fee that they offer for me is such a freeing gift for writers, because even if you only have, let's say, 5 people at first signing up for your subscription, you can put out work that is deeply personal to your heart and know that the people that are receiving it actually care so much to hear about what you have to say about whatever it is you're moving through. Like mine's, of course, going to be a lot. It's called Compulsively Creative and Divinely Designed, and it's going to be all about my, my spiritual journey and my creative journey and all the different things that are happening. And I'm really excited for it as an opportunity to talk about things deeply personal that I wouldn't feel comfortable just sending out to the tens of thousands of people on my newsletter list or putting out on a podcast or an Instagram post that literally anyone in the world could take and replicate and do whatever. So I think there is a real creative gift, if any writers are listening, in Substack, where it offers you this intimate approach to sharing your art, and you could use it for poetry or for even fiction work or for whatever it is. um, to have this, even if someone is only paying $2 a month or $5 a month or $11 a month, like not a big amount of money. The fact that they're willing to pay even just a little bit to specifically receive this from you, I feel like lets you know that they're personally interested, right? And I think we're in this era right now of so many people that are the men in the stands or the women in the stands, like people that are actually not on the ground floor, not in the mud, not creating, not putting themselves out there, not being vulnerable, not doing all this and just trying to run their mouths on people that are really being vulnerable and really putting themselves out there in their work. And so I am in no way like affiliated with Substack other than having a Substack. But I love the idea of it because I think it is, you're getting other people that are invested in you and care about you. And so there is a layer for any of you guys that have been worried about that or feel like, oh, I can't fully share my sacred poetry, or I can't fully share this because I'm scared that, it's going to get into like devious internet troll hands. I think there's a certain level of stuff where we do have to push through courageously and share it with the world and share our message. And I think Substack and different things like this, I'm sure there are other things that exist, but different things like this, like I think even on Instagram now they have, you can do subscriptions or something like that. That financial barrier, it's not just about like the creator making that extra cash, right? It's also creating a barrier of people that are really for you and that are an advocate for your work, and that um, I think creates a level of intimacy that you're able to share things. Like I'm really looking forward to being able to share things with my subscribers that I would not feel comfortably just publicly having out in the open. So anyway, I think those are both two things that if you feel called to either of them are great. New moon in Leo kickoffs, you can fill out the form with your interest in creative hours if you're interested in that. You can join your own Substack, start your own Substack. And also ask yourself, what is that creative thing that's been on your heart? And for you, what is the right first step? So let's like take that first step together on this Leo new moon, or whenever you're listening to this, because whenever you're listening to it is the time where your soul is really calling you to take that first creative step. So mwah. And also for all of my Divinely Design Your Life process members, of course, we'll be doing a special new moon ritual on courageous creativity inside the process on the 16th of August. And the link for that also is below in Divinely Design Your Life, the process. Thank you so much for listening to me. I love sharing divine downloads with you, and I will talk to you soon.